What up, everybody? Couple more crew. In the place to be, we got the CLB, straight out of Chicago,
Yes,
with
sir.
releases on Houseline, 3000 Bass, Confession, 11, Punks, his own label, Sine Clash Recordings. We're going to talk about that. Big record on Space Yacht, so much more. And of course, we have a record I'm super proud of. We spent a super long time in getting this thing right and got some really amazing remixes on this
hmm
Friday on Holy Moly. CLB Max, what's up, brother? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Dude, thank you. I've been a fan for so long of this stream. I was telling you earlier, like, I kind of fell off watching streams and stuff, and this is like the only one that I really stuck with. So it's a pleasure to be on here.
Shit, man, that means the world to me. We all kind of put a lot of time into this, whether it's just being in the chat or, you know, fucking going for 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
It's all family here, and you're a big part of that. A lot of times, I'll just end with drum and bass, and usually, I'm playing all your songs back to back. So, pleasure
Thank
to
you.
have you on here,
Wes.
man. So usually, it's pretty much just freestyle it. Want to get to know, how you got into music, how you got into, playing shows, how you got into
hmm
the I think you use Ableton. We'll get into all that. So right off the bat, let us know, where you're from and what your first experience was that got you kind of into either making music or wanting to DJ.
Yeah. So from Chicago, born and raised. I lived in the suburbs for a while, and then I moved here about 7 years ago. Kind of with the whole music thing. I guess I kind of started off. I was in high school, and I was kind of like that, like nerdy, quiet kid. Didn't really have like that big of a social life. So kind of my way in was so I used to be like a big dance music fan kind of at the time, and my high school was like a Catholic school. No one really listened to it. I was kind of like the only kid that did. So I thought, all right, if I could somehow get into like the cool kid parties, like I would be able to get kind of like my foot in the door social wise. So I knew a bunch of EDM stuff. So I got like a $50 controller, got invited to a house party and DJ'd just like this really, really shitty high school party. And that was literally the bug. I kept doing that. And like 7 years later, here I am.
Fuck yeah, man. Shit.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember how I came across you, and I can almost thumb it back to Stranger for his
hmm
label. That was I actually hit him up. I'm gonna have him on the show because he's got some golden nuggets, and that's
hmm
like that's my boy who's put me on to a lot of amazing talent, and he was the first person that I heard that was like, "Yo, you gotta hear this dude's killing it." And I want to talk about your journey with styles of music and stuff. But that was when you were primarily doing breaks, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What was that EP called? That there was a record on that EP I used to play the shit out of, and it was right when I first started really touring around.
That one is oh, there's a sometimes EP. It was
Yeah,
like had sometimes I
the
think the one
Underground.
you played. Yeah, that was the one you used to always
That's what
play
it
out.
was. That was my
Yeah.
shit, man. I gotta
Yeah,
start
that was a
playing
fun
that one
one.
again. Man, so walk us through that. So you get a controller, you start getting into DJing.
hmm
When's the next step when you start getting into production? And so you start DJing before you start producing?
Right, yeah. And I think I kind of hit this wall where a lot of the people that kind of had a similar thing or kind of come up like I did, starting off DJing, you kind of reach a point where it's like I'm kind of sick of just playing other people's music. So like most 15-year-olds, I just bootlegged a copy of FL Studio, um, and then just kind of tinkered. I started doing edits for these parties, so just like stupid mashups of Rihanna songs and whatever. And then kind of as like the years went on, I graduated, I went to college, and I was exposed to like a much bigger um, kind of taste of music because I moved to downtown Chicago because that's where I went to college anyway. So I was sneaking into like all the underground clubs and stuff, and I heard like legit house music and techno for the first time, and like break beats and stuff. And when I was trying to like kind of form my identity of like where I wanted like my own music to go, I just kind of pulled from that. So it was just like a wide range of weird underground sounds that I really liked and I enjoyed producing. So that was kind of like the base of just being sick of playing stupid Rihanna mashups that I made.
Hell yeah. That I mean that's what I think drew me to your music, and something that I wanted to kind of pick your brain about too is, you know, we share a love for like super classic underground, like the most underground music to me, which is jungle and breaks,
Right.
basically. You know, and kind of that's where everything stems from. But that's always kind of been like, to me, the illest, most hardcore shit still to this day is like old school 90s jungle stuff, and I hear a lot of that influence in a lot of your tunes, and especially, you know, all the drum and bass records that you've been um, putting out and banging out now. So like, how
Mhm.
did you get exposed to that, and how did you at like I got a couple years on you, so like at such a young age, like for me it was I went to raves and bought records and stuff, but like,
Mhm.
you know, that was 20 something years ago. So like, how did you get exposed to such dope classic sounds
It was
and
kind of like
everything?
it was two things. So I what honestly it was just like online digging, just going down like the YouTube rabbit hole. I'm like, the algorithm like no sees the stuff I'm listening to, and all of a sudden like a super old like DJ Zinc remix pops up in my recommended, and then I go down that hole. But I think one of the bigger things too was where when I went to college, so I went to DePaul, and right by DePaul's campus is this record store. It's pretty famous. I'm sure you've been there or at least heard of it. It's called Gramophone. It's
Okay.
a like classic record store, one of the like most famous ones in Chicago. And every single Friday, me and my friends after class, we just go and just surf through all these records. Like I didn't even have like a turntable at the time, but I just thought it was super cool just to hang out there after my class. I ended up like we used to go so much that like the owners kind of like know who we are and stuff, so I'd get to ask their like recommendations and stuff. So one of the things that one of like the big influences I kind of pulled from that was I used to get like stacks of they had like this grab bag where it's 5 records for $5. You don't know what they are. So I'd take those home, listen to those, and then that's how I'd find my samples for stuff. So then I'd bring that in my DAW and just kind of mess around with it from there.
Fuck yeah. So what is your process, or was your process, I don't know if it's still the same now, of like getting samples? Like you're just um, running it through like a regular interface, or is there anything special tips or tricks that you do that?
Not really. I mean, that's what I used to do. My turntable is busted now, so I've been kind of just doing online stuff. But there was just like a lot of gems on those old records that I just randomly get for $5. And what I like to do now too is I'll just get like a crate of those, bring them home, and there's just look them up online. You could find like a some MP3 copy of it or whatever. I'll just sample that. So it's another good way to do it.
Hell yeah. So okay, so then you start sampling records. This was You're still going to college. Did you always go by CLB? Where did that come about?
So I used to like when I like first started producing and making original stuff. It was like 2015, and I was really interested in like footwork and Jersey club stuff. And this is like it was like the era where like you could do or like the big thing was having like a word as your DJ name and then taking all the vowels out. So I was like making Jersey Club at the time. I was like, okay, CLB kind of sounds cool. And I literally stuck with that. There's no crazy story behind it. I should probably come up with something to like actually figure out what CLB stands for, like an acronym, but I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it
Just kind of
works.
Jersey Club. Yeah.
Yeah, it works. So so after, you know, making music after school and college and starting to experiment, so are you still using Fruity Loops, or did you? I feel like
Yep.
the okay. For some reason, I thought you were an Ableton guy. That's cool. That um, I keep calling it Fruity Loops. It always throws people off. That's FL Studio, but that was the first DAW that I used. But it was called Fruity Loops very very long time ago. Um, so yeah, take us from there. So then you start making footwork and juke,
Right.
and then when did you sign your first record, or how did that come about?
So I was just kind of doing small stuff, just like really small labels, with like 2 followers, SoundCloud gates or whatever. And then I want to say I think it was 2016 is when I started doing a little more breaks, kind of influence stuff and house stuff. And I'd been sending Astronomar a lot of my demos because I was a huge fan of Main Course at the time. And it's 2016. He signed one of my records for like the Snacks compilation that used to be a big thing. So that was like my big first label release, and like to this day, I'm still a huge Main Course fan. Little special place in my heart because as you know, Astronomar is like the nicest guy I think I've ever met. Anyway, so that was like the big thing, and that got me some good support. I think like it was on like Radio One or something like that, and that kind of got my foot in the door.
Hell yeah, yeah. I mean, man, shout out Astronomer and Bot and Jeremiah and the whole main course crew. That
Mm-hmm.
those guys were really doing it. Fuck that. I remember that compilation now too. Is that was where I heard it first, and then I went and stayed with Stranger
Mm-hmm.
in Orange County, and he was like, "Yo, I got these records from this dude." He's like, because he was just all about the breaks, and you just had that shit in held. So like, then I started playing that one, and I think somehow I met you in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But so how did you connect with Stranger?
Just sending him demos. I'm pretty sure I annoyed the shit out of him for a little bit before like my shit got to a good level. But I just kept sending him demos, and then he hit me up one day. He liked a few of them, and he was talking about how he wanted to start a label. And then we decided after a few months that that would be the first EP on with Tons and Duns.
Tons and
Um,
tons, hell yeah, man.
yeah, so
That was such a good label.
dude, I know it's fucking killer.
Um, Shit. Okay, so we've went from tons and tons from main course to tons and tons, and then kind of
Mm-hmm.
like what was next? Because I know there was like a bunch of things that went on, and then all of a sudden, boom, all this drum and bass switch up happened, and
Yeah.
murderation and all that shit.
So it kind of went. So I did Tons and Tons. That was like the peak of my like breaks phase. I had some stuff on punks that came out. Um, and then for a little bit, I was super into like UK bass, like the Taki New Light took over. So I was like, okay, how can I start making that kind of stuff? Because I was super influenced by that. So that's when I was kind of doing stuff on like 3000 bass and
That's right. You did
Broken.
it. You did a bumps remix too during that time.
Oh, that's right. I did. Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
forgot about that too. Is we did a big bumps remix
Yeah.
compilation, and you were the first one to give me one, and fucking crazy, wild house music shit.
That whole pack was sick. What's that? Aliens remix, I think, was my favorite one out of all of them because he just smashed that breaks remix.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, he is.
I was gonna get him on here, but he doesn't have a way to record yet. So as soon as he does, I'm definitely getting Aylin up in this bitch.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
so yeah, so then the kind of more bass house UK bass kind of house stuff, like
Right.
then slowly that seems like a natural evolution, then straight to the drum and bass, then, right?
Yeah, so I was doing like the bass house kind of stuff for probably like 2 years, and I kind of reached this point where all the shit I was making for like almost like 8 months was just sounding like somebody else's complete copy, and I didn't like lose interest in producing, but it was just super frustrating because I feel like I wasn't coming up with like enough original ideas, and I'd been kind of tinkering with doing drum and bass just for fun, and I sat down one summer and I made just like 4 or 5 drum and bass records that turned out a lot better than I was expecting. So after kind of like losing all of like my inspiration for 4/4 stuff, I just kind of dove headfirst in the drum and bass, and it's it's really interesting because finally feel like now I've reached this point, like production wise, like skill wise, and like dedication wise, where I could see myself doing strictly drum and bass for God knows how long, instead of like, because my whole entire career has been kind of like this dabbling in genres and stuff like that. But now I think I finally have this, like, I don't know, it feels very authentic and really easy for me just to write a shit ton of drum and bass, and it's super fun. I'm not like stressing about making records. I'm not forcing anything. So I don't know. I think I kind of found my genre now.
Shit, man, that's what it's all about, and that's not an easy thing, especially I thought you had the breaks thing nailed, but the evolution of your sound is such an important thing as a producer and a DJ and or an artist in general, whatever you do. So
Right.
like that, it's a cool progression, and like I can feel it in your music and in your presentation now, where you're like, this is my shit, this is what I'm doing, and then just boom, and then just came out with the label, and then just knocking records out left and right. The funny thing is if we talk about how we got this other record into the record, is you're like, I'm only doing drum and bass, and then I'm like, yo, we got to put this record out, fucking, and then it's a house record. So then I was like, after it was getting ready to release, I was like, man, I think that the illest thing to do would be for it to have you do a drum and bass mix, and that's like almost the obvious thing to do. So it's still, a pretty bassy house, speed garagey kind of record, but also it's got that CLB just like roller mix on there. So like I'm
Right.
super hyped for the release, and we got some crazy some of the best feedback we've gotten on the Holy Moly release.
Yeah, no, the feedback was great. I mean, Markstar and Freakon smashed their remixes too. Like both of them are just blew me out of the water. So I think the whole entire package is awesome.
Fuck yeah, man. So that was something. I mean, I think I used to go to Chicago a lot. Like there was one year where I played maybe 5 times, and I seen you a whole bunch there, and I was like, yo, we got to do a record. We got to do a record. And you sent me this track that wasn't what we have now, and it was more like almost like the gooey Vuitton kind of sound, where it was like garagey, but like minery garagey. I don't even know how to explain it. Kind of
Yeah, it was just
two-steppy.
like, yeah,
It was fucking
weird
sick.
chord tabs and like just 808s.
I fucking loved it, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna get Shoshana on it. And the funny story about it is, you sent it to me. I brought Shoshana in the studio in Brooklyn. She recorded the vocal, and then I mixed her vocal kind of, and then I sent it to you, and like you took a bunch of stuff out, sent it back to me, and like my favorite part of it where she went baby baby, and I was like, you took that part out, and so like, and then then we kind of paused, and that record, or I think maybe we got to like version 10 or 12.
Yeah, no, it was high up.
and then we kind of paused for a minute, and then I was like, man, that one part, I fucking loved it so much that I threw it in another session, and that's how the first record of Holy Moly came, was from Baby, and that was out of the same session of the part that you took out, and I was like, man, this is a whole hook. So I
Dude, it was.
wrote the whole track around just that little ad lib of her just saying, baby, baby, baby. And so I think it's fucking perfect that, later on, every once in a while I'll be like, yo, we should finish this. She'll be like, all right, I'm going to work on it. And I'll be like, yo, do you work on it? I'll be like, no, I'm going to work on it. And eventually,
yeah.
you're like, man, I hated the whole thing. I fucking redid like almost all of it, and then sent it to me. And I was like, oh man, this is dope. And then we went back a bunch more times, and then it kind of got put on hold, and then the pandemic happened, and then full drum and bass CLB came. And then, man, the whole time I was listening to it and playing it, and I was like, we really need to put this out. And here we are. It's close to 3 years maybe.
Yeah, I think I was looking through like my project files, and I think it's like June 2018, something like that.
I love
that was like the V1. So
it's crazy.
It's a good full circle moment.
If you guys want to pre-save in Spotify, that helps us out with getting placement and getting more people to hear it. If you click on the link that keeps popping up, It's free. You don't got to pay for it. You just pre-save it, and then you get that shit right as it comes out Friday morning. How did the record label come about?
So it was like probably around June last year. It was like height pandemic when no one had any idea what was going on. And I just had this like fat stack of tunes that was just eating a hole in my hard drive. I was talking to my manager and I was like, well, I have all these tunes, not like people are like scared to put stuff out, like all the big drum and bass labels weren't accepting any demos. And so we were just like, fuck it, why don't we just start like our own imprint? And that's pretty much the birth. So I think I put out 3 records of mine so far. And it's really fun. It's a lot of work, and I'm kind of in the early stages where I'm trying to figure out, what the sound of that label I want it to be kind of. But so far so good. I got really good responses so far. I'm just having a blast running it. It's kind of nice. I'm in control. I do all the art and stuff like that, all the promo. So it's like my little baby now.
Fuck yeah, man. The how
Mhm.
how did the name come about?
So I wanted to do like something that was kind of reminiscent of like sound clash culture. And I was just like going through a bunch of shit, just like name generators. I don't know. I forgot like I was like brainstorm session, and I was like, all right, I like the clash part, and I like having recordings at the end because it just sounds badass. And I was like going through all these like different words, and I was like, well, all right, all synthesizers start with a sine wave, so sine clash kind of sounds nice. Then
Hell yeah.
I already had like a little envision for the logo off of that, so that was the birth of it.
Fuck yeah, man. Um, so what from your journey in music, what would be some advice that you could give some like up and coming producers, artists or whatever that maybe from things that took you a minute to learn that maybe you would do a little bit differently or finding your sound or anything like that? How what kind of
Yeah.
advice could you give some up and coming peeps?
Honestly, I think one of the biggest things that it took me a while to learn is not really forcing stuff and just letting stuff flow. And also just not rushing stuff because it's going to take a lot of time to find your sound and stuff like that. Like I was just saying earlier, I think I finally got my sound and I've been producing since it's been 7 years now. So I think not rushing stuff is super important. Letting I think making sure first and foremost you're having fun doing it is should be the most important thing. I think a lot of times I've even gotten caught up of with like, oh God, I haven't finished a song in 3 weeks. I'm gonna fall off the face of the planet. Like my career's over. I'm gonna have to work like Outback Steakhouse the rest of my life. But it just I don't know, just not forcing stuff, not rushing stuff, but also just be diligent and disciplined with how you produce. So just make sure you're working hard and working smart, but don't force anything, I guess.
Yeah, man, that's great advice because, it's almost like you can hear it in at least when I make music and I'm like I have to finish a track or I have to do this and I force it out. I can like hear it in the track where it's like, man, I like totally forced it and in the long run you're taking longer to finish stuff. And
Exactly.
even better advice is make sure you're having fun with it because really that's what this shit is all about. And if you're not having fun, then it's kind of like what are you wasting your life doing this shit
Yeah,
for?
exactly. Hmm.
Oh shit, we got Keith McKenzie up in here. What up? What up? What up?
Hey.
Um, shit. So then put their head down and just started killing it during the pandemic. And there's a lot of people that disappeared, and you're one of the guys that was just like launched a record label. There was a huge record that the record that you put out on Space Yacht. I played that was a hit on the streams. I would end with that record like crazy. How did
Thank
that
you.
come about with the Space Yacht guys?
So that one was signed off their Tune Reactor stream. They just started doing it, and I was working with this guy named Formula out in the UK. I've been friends with him for a while, and he sent me like the core idea and the vocals. I finished it in like a day, and like that day, I saw the Space Yacht dudes were doing the tune reactor thing, so I just sent it in, and immediately they like the next day they're like, okay, we're starting a record label, keep it hush hush, but like we want this to be the first one. And immediately I was like, absolutely. Like I've been to Space Yacht a million times. I thought it was the coolest fucking party. So yeah, that was it. It was tune reactor.
Fuck yeah, man. That's like some of the positive things. Actually, not some. There's a whole bunch of positive things that came out of such a negative time. That's another thing that we try to like focus on in the show. There's so much crazy, negative, scary shit going on. What kind of advice would you give or tips to, because we all went through the depression part of the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, but like the making music and putting music out and doing all that, like what did you do to keep your head up during like the fucking pandemic?
Yeah, I think honestly it was putting my head down and literally just making music. I literally had nothing else to do. I couldn't go outside. And so, I mean, there's definitely like 4 or 5 months where I was really struggling. And like everyone, I have my off weeks and stuff like that. But I reached this point where I was like, all right, if like I have all this free time now, I'm never going to get, this amount of open space just to make as much tunes as I can. So that was literally my saving grace. Also, this is kind of a side note, and it took me 25 years to realize this, but exercising on like a daily basis saved me. So like I'd run every day. Um, I don't know, just get outside, get fresh air, and just not looking at screens too much is kind of like another big thing.
Man, that's great advice too. Is that's a problem. I have problems with both of those. Is I used to get my exercise running from flight to flight, and now I've gained like 10 pounds. I was skinny as
Mm-hmm.
fuck before, but I exercising and keeping a fucking figuring out ways to keep a goddamn positive mindset in these crazy times. And look at and
Mm-hmm.
now there's like planted all these seeds and all these beautiful fucking plants are growing. It's beautiful, man. I love it. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. So what else? What's on the menu? What do you got coming up? You got more stuff lined up with the label, or is there any stuff that you can give us um, a look into what's coming up for CLB?
We got a little bit of stuff. Obviously, we've got Friday, which I'm stoked for. I actually have bookings for this in like the summer, which is exciting for the first time.
Fuck yeah.
So I don't know if I can announce those just yet, but things are coming. I don't know. I've actually release wise, I'm trying to for at least like midsummer. I want to start putting out a track like at least every 3 weeks or so. I just put a bunch of stuff out, so I'm trying to save up, build up a little bit, and then in the summer I'm really gonna gun for it. But I've been almost dabbling in non-drum and bass stuff too. I'm making this like a lot of grime, weird Londony dubstep kind of stuff recently, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. So that's I guess kind of a natural progression of my sound. I'm going to be doing a lot of drum and bass, and then maybe a little bit of grime stuff here and there, and I'm just having fun with it. So should be fun.
Fuck yeah. So who, if you had to pick three producers that you would fucking love to work with, what three producers would it be? It could be
Ooh,
alive or dead, alive or dead.
alive or dead? Oh, that's a tough question. Um, hmm. I feel like right now, just because, are you familiar with Dimension, like the big drum and bass guy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been just binge listening to his stuff because he knows how to write like really good pop music that translates into EDM stuff. And I'm really interested in that because I don't know, it's hard. It's really hard to do is write like a really catchy, good dance record. So he'd probably be one of them. Who else? Hmm. I'd want to say I feel like every kid my age who grew up listening to Skrillex says Skrillex. Um, Probably Skrillex just because his sound design's insane. I just like to see his workflow.
Hell yeah.
And then I feel like, hmm, think a complete 180 of Skrillex. Do you know who Theo Parrish is?
I
Like an
don't.
old house guy.
Who is it?
Theo Parrish, like super old. He put out some really weird, obscure house records like in the 90s, super small, but they're like weird ambient shit that like I don't know if you look him up on YouTube and he's got some good hits, but
Hell
I don't
yeah.
know. It's like my music taste is all over the place, and I think those are good representation of that. So
I love it. I love it. I love
yeah,
it. I was talking to shout out Ernesto for the raid.
a
I was talking to Ernesto earlier, and I was like, man, I'm getting ready to do a new release, um, a new single, and I was looking for some remixes, and he's the motherfucking breaks guy too, you know. So I was like, I always try to put one breaks remix on every Holy Moly remix on every
mm,
Holy Moly release, and I was like, man, who should I have? And he was like CLB, and I was like, man, he's doing the next one. Um, but yeah, shout out Ernesto. We got to get Ernesto on here. I don't know. That's the our shows kind of overlap, so maybe one of these weeks we'll start a little late and we'll have Ernesto on here. But shout out Ernesto.
yeah, he's the
Um,
man.
fucking, how is it in Chicago? How's the climate? Everyone we talk to, we've talked to people in Germany, in freaking Australia, in
Mm.
LA, all over the world basically. How is the COVID climate as far as like stores and clubs and bars and stuff like that? What is it like there now out in Chicago?
It's good. It's there is definitely a light at the end of the tunnel. The winter was pretty rough, and pretty much nothing was open. I think bars were like you can go to bars and restaurants for indoor seating, but it's like or excuse me, outdoor seating, but it was 10 degrees, so no one did it. And then they just opened stuff up about 3 weeks ago. I think it's at 50% capacity. So like I've been going to a bar, which is shocking. Had like a beer with my friends for the first time in a while. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which I'm really looking forward to. And as you know, summertime Chicago is gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to having a semi-normal summer.
Fuck yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the we took so much for granted. That's like the crazy thing that you're like,
I
man,
know.
even just going and sitting down at a shitty bar that
Hmm.
and having a beer, like that's something that no one meant to take it for granted, but it's like, wow, even that just it blows my mind. That's why I think that man, it sounds like shows are coming in for you. Shows been coming in left and right, and like I just got half my vaccine, and I'm getting the other half like right before I go travel, which who knows how much fun that's going to be, but
Right.
trying to get back to normal, doing whatever we can do.
Hmm.
I can't wait to fucking do. I actually did the first show back last Saturday in Rochester. I'm up
Oh,
in
nice.
Rochester now, and it was limited capacity. Everyone is supposed to be wearing a mask, and um,
Mhm.
it's weird. It's like scary. It's like you're like, oh shit, this is fucking kind of scary, and like,
Yeah, yeah.
is this unsafe? Am I gonna get
Hmm.
COVID? Blah 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 blah. And it's like we have
Right.
to slowly get back into this. Like it can't. The too many places
Yeah.
have closed, and
Yeah, jumping into it's going to be scary, and I think it's going to take some time, especially just like for me, even just like the social aspect of being around, you know, a
real
large crowd of
people.
people. Yeah, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be really weird for the first like 3 weeks. So a little learning curve.
Anyone in the chat crew? We got a nice little crew going in here early.
Yeah,
Anybody
we
in the
do.
chat crew before we rock over to this man's gonna do a set for us? You guys got any questions for the man's CLB? Chicago
Hey,
crew,
that's what's up.
Filski,
Hell yeah.
the crew. Shit, well, shout out the Pixel Hood, Filski,
Hell
Kitty
yeah.
C, Apple Country. What's your favorite club in Chicago? There's a good one.
Ooh, probably Spy Bar. I'll say Spy Bar is number one. I like Smart Bar is great as well, and then Rip the Mid. I did love the Mid. I think me and you probably met at the Mid for the first time because
I'm pretty sure.
I remember having a long conversation with you about Speed Garage at like 4 in the morning at the Mid Rip.
That That sounds about right. That was
Yeah,
the year when I I think I played the mid like 6 times, and I was
yeah,
in Chicago more than I was in any other city.
yeah. Because oh, you were doing all those boat parties. That's why.
I did that boat party. Wait, did you? Yeah, you and Keith came on that boat party. That was those shits were
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
That
The
was so much fun.
where you can basically you're going down the Chicago River, and certain bridges are so low that they had to take, and you're not going slow, you're fucking we're
Mhm.
flying. It's like a Universal Studios ride. And like someone gets on the mic and they say, "All right, everyone ducks." And then they had lights behind the DJ booth, and they had two like dudes that would pick the lights up and pull them down, and then everyone would put their head down. They're like, "Don't touch." And you can literally lose your hand and like
Yeah,
touch the top or the bottom of the bridges that we are going under.
yeah, dude. Like anyone above 6'1" would have lost their head. And yeah, you know, we were like booking it, so it was a little dangerous, but that makes it more fun.
But man, yeah, that was awesome. Oh, we got a bunch of questions here. If you ever had to play the last set at your favorite club, what's the last record you would play?
Ooh, that's a hard question. I'll have to think about that. I feel like I'd want to go with like a Netsky song, like an old like 2011 liquid drum and bass Netsky song.
Okay, hell yeah.
Probably one of those. Good feel good closer.
The funny story is I was the only time I've played in Ibiza. In the middle of it, they have or Ibiza. In the middle of it, they have a fucking go kart track that's like, or not go kart, bumper cars in the middle that's open like 24 hours, and me and my girl and my friend Amber were like, fuck it, we're gonna do it when we get in there. And I did a couple shows on a net ski tour years before that, and he all of a sudden I'm sitting in the bumper car and I'm like, fucking net ski. And I keep I can't remember which is even the proper way to say his name anymore, but
Yeah, there do I have no idea.
it was funny. It was funny. It was funny.
That's good.
But shout out Netski, Netsky,
Mhm.
Netski. I'm pretty sure it's Netski, but
I think
it
so.
could be Netsky. I don't know. I should know, but okay. What else we got? What got you into house music?
Was definitely like the EDM. I was a big room guy way back in the day, and then after like a year of that, I'm so sick of it. So, and that's when I moved to Chicago, and I was kind of getting to know the local scene and stuff. It's Chicago. It's like where house was born, so that immediately just resonated with me. So that was the start of it.
Thought Club or Thought CLB stands for Christian Loves Blondes.
I'm not
Courtesy.
Christian, but this the love and blonde part is definitely true.
Fucking platinum. Um, remembering my drunk moments there. Hell yeah. The mid, man, RIP the mid. So many great shows at Smart Bar too. Shout out Smart. So are those still open? The mid's obviously closed, but Smart Bar's still going to be going.
I think they're opening back up. I could be wrong. They've been doing like weekly live streams, which have been really good. Been kind of help raise money and stuff like that. I think I'm hoping by at least July, like the bigger clubs will at least be doing like 50% capacity or something like that. But we'll see.
Well, shit, man. Is there anything before we get into your set? Is there anything that you want to plug or say or?
I mean, not really. I mean, obviously, I'm after 3 years of working on this tune, I'm super excited for it to finally come out. And maybe we should do a VIP of the original version because now that I think about it, the OG version kind of slaps. But yeah, I don't know. Just thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to at least catch up,
Yeah,
and
man.
super stoked for all this. So
Yeah, man. The beauty about this whole streaming phenomenon that just kind of happened was that we've made this crew or this family of people that are just good spirited, amazing people that I kind of say that I kind of owe them a lot because they helped me get through very dark times. If I didn't have the streaming stuff, if I didn't have this, I don't know where I would be now. That's like what I feel like kind of my duty is to like bring in my favorite artists and homies that are doing really cool stuff and just be like, yo, crew, make sure you're following this guy and watching what he's doing because he's doing some really cool stuff. So we got one more question left. Max, do you know Diplo?
I wish. I think I sent him like 2 emails and he responded in like 2016. So, yeah, we're best friends. I'm gonna call with him later actually. So
Nice. I know he's got many emails. Shit, hell yeah. So a couple more crew. We are gonna play a set from CLB. Big release this Friday. Make sure you pre-save that joint, or even go pre-order it on Beatport. When it comes out, play it, put it on repeat, and let it play for like the whole weekend. But
as you should, yeah.
Man, couple more crew. Drop some couple mores for CLB. We're gonna rock into his set. I'm excited to see what this man's playing. Hear the new heat. This is like the ID mania. So let's do it, man. We got I think Apple Country put a command for all your links. Let's shoot that one more time, and then make sure you're following them on all the things. And fucking thanks, brother. I will see you. I cannot wait to come back to Chicago.
Next boat party.
I'll see you soon. So that's something that we do boat parties. We did boat parties on Sunday for a long time, and I've been kind of bringing them back a little bit. But that's going to be a real life thing. So
sweet.
We do Chicago one. I definitely want you on that shit, bro. So
I'll be there.
All right, crew. Let's do this. Peace, man. We're going to play special set from CLB, and then I'll jump on for a couple more at the end. A couple more crew. Long story short, episode 14. Peace out.
Yo, what's good, Twitch? My name's CLB out of Chicago, Illinois.